So you beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. I'm sure we can all agree that at some point with Modern Warfare 2, something in the game just hasn't quite worked as intended. Whether there's scan and repair issues, whether you've shot somebody point blank range with a shotgun and it hasn't registered any shots, whether you can't call in a score streak, or whether your HUD's totally disappeared on you. I've had all of these issues, as you probably can tell, and I'm sure you guys have had some too. And for me, this is quite embarrassing, or should be quite embarrassing, to Infinity Ward and the likes of Activision, because this game has been worked on for a full 3 years. Now, it's quite clear to me, or anyone with a brain cell, that they've prioritized Warzone 2 over the likes of Modern Warfare 2. And even then, they still haven't done a fantastic job with that game either. But what was more embarrassing than anything I've seen so far for this game is yesterday, Optic decided to forfeit in the COD League against Minnesota because a GA streak was called in, which caused the particular individual, Cammy, who called it in, to threes in the game for I think it was about 8 seconds or so. Now, they went to the league and told the league what happened, and the league decided that the map needed to be replayed instead of the round, and Optic thought, to hell with that, we're forfeiting out of pure principle. First thing I'm going to say is I don't understand why Cammy, as a professional player, has accidentally selected a GA streak. Now, I will say that all of the streaks that are near each other are quite close, and it can accidentally be done, but it's the circumstances that it was done in for me. His team were getting pounded. Scumpy was having some of the best rounds he's had in a long time, especially for the start of the league. And essentially, there was no way my eyes or many other people's eyes that Minnesota were going to be able to turn this game around. And rotating back to Cammy, some of his teammates were taken out. And it's just a bit of a coincidence to me that he called in a GA streak, which did bug out, causing him to freeze in the game. All of that may be a massive issue, and we can debate about that all day, but that's not what I'm doing this video for. For me, the reason I'm doing this video is because it should highlight just how terrible these games are in this day and age. 139,000 plus people were watching yesterday, and I think that's the highest viewership that there's been in a long time. Whether that's been inflated by certain things, I don't know, because there are people that do these sorts of things to make games look more popular than they are these days. But essentially, what we're seeing here is even the pros can't play just a simple game of Control because there is a streak in the game that causes it to freeze. This should be highly embarrassing to Infinity Ward as a development team, that their game is put out there in the not even the public domain, but in a competitive setting where people are playing for reputations, where they're playing for money, and it's under the viewership of those people who want to emulate these type of players. You can't even call it in a streak without it breaking the game. It's insane that we live in this day and age where Call of Duty has been made year after year after year after year, and they still can't get these things right. I don't understand. It really is a shame for Scump, as this is his last competitive year, and honestly, I don't blame him, because the games that they keep putting out, specifically Infinity Ward, are less and less competitive each year. This has got to be the biggest skill gap compression in Call of Duty I've ever seen. And it's just, for me, to add the bugs on top of that makes this game unbearable. Remember, these pros are playing this game 8 to 12 hours a day, constantly, sometimes against their will, because they're contractually obligated to do so. It must be a mind-numbing experience to play a game that is inherently broken in terms of its competitiveness, and then on top of that, throw in bugs that that affect the playing of the game also. It's a crazy time to be watching Call of Duty. It's a situation where there's egg all over the faces of Activision and Infinity Ward, and to have someone like Scump openly trash your game, irrespective of how politely he does it, it's not a good look when teams are starting to forfeit in the CDL because they refuse to play a game because of it being broken. Guys, down in the comment section, let me know your thoughts and feelings on this situation. Guys, there are many buttons you can hit, but the like and subscribe button, I hope they tick your fancy. And as always, guys, Don't forget to stay on the right track. Peace.